Are you sick and tired of not knowing how far your altcoins can go in this bull market? Are you always searching for your altcoin price predictions on YouTube, hoping that some influencer is going to tell you your coin can 20x, maybe 50x, or even 100x to cool your nerves? Well, give me 15 minutes of your time today and you will never have to worry again. Because I'm going to show you how we can use data, not emotions, to find the price prediction of any coin, with this method being by far the most reliable I've ever come across. Just a quick heads up before we start, I've seen a lot of people get the whole price prediction thing very wrong. A price prediction is a theoretical max a coin could go to in the best circumstances. It does not mean it's actually going to happen. Now, the method today is quite reliable in the sense that we're going to get a pretty good range here of where these coins can go, and it's been tried and tested in the previous bull market, so I know to some degree it does work. Even with that, these price predictions do not change with the ebbs and the flows of the market. What I mean by that is today's price prediction of a coin might be a 21x, but if the team starts to sell the token, if there's bad news and something horrible happens with the project, if you have a look at the price prediction, it's still going to be a 21x. So these price predictions are only valid as long as these coins don't have any horrible news that comes out. But in the private community, I'll leave the links down below, we have a prediction adjusted score here that allows us to smooth out and compress and readjust the way in which I'm going to show you these price predictions in this video. So we actually get a increase or decrease in the price predictions depending on how well each of these coins goes from now until the end of the bull market. So if you want over 135 price predictions and counting for major altcoins, then of course you know where to find this sheet down below. All right, so let's begin. Now, I get it. A lot of people watching this are going to feel like they want to skip towards the end. Trust me when I say this video is designed to actually help you do this yourself. So you don't have to rely on Mr. Influencer X over here on YouTube to say, hey, Jimmy, you're going to have 1,000x on your altcoin. Trust me, bro. You can actually find it yourself and be realistic with this stuff. But to understand how this actually works, I need to explain a very important term that some of you may not know, and that is what's called market dominance. So market dominance is a percentage the coin has of the total market cap. For example, this is Bitcoin's chart here. In this brighter orange, this is Bitcoin's market cap. And in the faint orange line, this is its market dominance, which means at any given time, we can work out roughly how much of Bitcoin's market cap makes up of the total market cap. So for example, right now, okay, Bitcoin's market cap is $2.3 trillion. But if we have a look at its market dominance, it's currently 61.29%, which means the other odd 40% right now is actually in this blue line. This blue line here is the comparison's sake to the rest of the market. So a good example of this is you can see back in the 2021 first high over here, Bitcoin actually had its market cap peaking out. Now, its market cap was around $1 trillion, but its market dominance was around about down here at 41%, which means the other 60%, where is that? Where's the other 60% of the total market cap? Well, that is in the blue line. The blue line here is everything else. Stable coins, Ethereum, altcoins, everything, right? So, of course, when Bitcoin's market dominance goes down, what happens is the rest of the market eats that up again. So it's important to know, because where I want to take this next and how we're going to find these data predictions is by using market dominance. We're going to find the dominance on each of these altcoins roughly at their lows, and we're going to do some calculations to figure out where they could possibly go based on the previous cycles. We're doing averages here, so we're trying to find a zone where these coins can really realistically go. So one last example of market dominance is looking at this blue line here compared to the orange line. The orange line is Bitcoin's market dominance, and the blue line is Chainlink's market dominance. And you can see here that back around the time of the bear market, okay, Chainlink had a 0.25% market dominance, which means whatever the market cap was globally back then, Chainlink had around 0.25% of whatever that number was. Now, fast forward to when it had its blow-off top moment, okay, or one of its blow-off top moments, it had a market dominance of 1.82%, which means it went up 7.2x. Now, I'm bringing this to your attention because market dominance is actually very interesting. If the total market of crypto goes up and the market dominance of a coin stays roughly the same, that actually means that it's moving up relative with the market at the same rate. So if the market 2x's and the market dominance of a coin remains at whatever it may be, 1% for example, that means it's also moving up 2x. If the market drops down 50% and the market dominance of the coin stays the same, that means the coin's actually dropped 50% as well, at least in terms of its market cap. So what happens when a coin like Chainlink here moves up a 7.2x from its bear market average market dominance to a 1.82%? Well, of course, this just means that it owns more of the total market, which means it has just outpaced whatever the market's done by 7.2x, which means if the market's 10x in this period, that means that Chainlink has done a 10 times 7, which means it's done a 70x market cap growth. So this is a very important metric for us to assess, because in addition to finding price predictions, it can also be used to figure out if the coin's actually over or underperforming the market. Okay, so let's kick things off with, first of all, having a look at the global market cap growth. This is important because what we're doing here is saying, well, if we're using market cap dominance of a coin to figure out where it could go to, well, what is market cap dominance? It's a dominance percentage of the total market cap. So in this case, we have to figure out roughly where the global total market cap will go. I'm using two different levels. I'm using 8 trillion and 14 trillion. So essentially, if the total market cap from where it is now at around about 4 trillion, 2x's, which is a low and reasonable expectation, I think, to a very high, very bullish expectation of a 14 trillion market cap. Now, I think we probably land somewhere in the middle between 10 to 12 trillion, to be honest. But that's why in this video, we'll also look at those very two predictions as well. Now, the next thing is, of course, because we're using dominance, we have to figure out, well, do altcoins even end up having their market dominance with the all-time high of the market? Okay, so if we go to 8 or 14 trillion, will our altcoins likely have their peak market dominance at that time? And luckily for us, the answer is, based on history, yes. Most coins in this blue line here, this is others' market dominance, has their rough all-time high with the rest of the market, as you can see here with the total market cap, should I say. That's a very good sign, okay, which means, yes, with your coin peaking out its market dominance, it should roughly come at the same time as the total market cap. The issue is, you can see here with a coin like Chainlink, is Chainlink 7.5x its market dominance, okay, going to around that 2% level I showed you before, way down here, late 2020. It wasn't anywhere in 2021, let alone in these highs. So that means that the coin had max market share when the market cap wasn't very much, when it was around 350 billion. When the coin went up to, roughly 2 trillion or even 3 trillion market cap, it was much lower down here. The thing is, what you have to understand as well, guys, is doesn't look great, okay, but, Chainlink can actually have its all-time high in price over here, because if the global market cap is like 3 trillion and the market dominance is even half of what it was at its high, it still could have more market cap, therefore the price may actually be at all-time highs over here. So while market dominance is important to assess, you may have a coin like Chainlink here peak its market dominance at not the best time. It would have been really good if it peaked over here. It would have gained even more market cap, but that's still okay as long as it is gaining market dominance overall. Step 3, I've actually completed this for you. You won't have to do it again, but I wanted to explain to you why it's important. It's locating what the global market cap is, so the total market cap, at 3 different important points. On the 12th of October 2023, the 7th of September 2024, and April 7th, 2025. So these 3 red zones down here. Why? Well, as you might be able to guess, these are the time before the bull market started, the low in between the 2 highs we had in the bull run, and also the massive catalyst here being the tariffs pulling us way down. Now, it's important because what we're going to be doing with this information here is going to a coin like Injective, for example, and looking at what Injective's market cap was at those 3 points. Then what we're doing is finding out what its market dominance is at those 3 points, which I'll show you how to do in a second, and then averaging that. Why is that important? Well, that is its average low before the market started, in the middle of the market, and very recently, okay, when the market's come down. Now, from the lows, I've noticed in previous bull markets, like you saw before with Chainlink, okay, going up a roughly 7x, most coins peak their market dominance from their lows, either a 5 or a 10x. Now, that's very important, of course, because then again, we now have numbers we can pull off the global market cap at the highest. So let me run this through with you very quickly. Again, you won't have to do this. I found it already for you. So 1.02 trillion, 1.9 trillion, and 2.51 trillion over here. What we do now is go to TradingView and, find the Injective market cap, or you might just want to go to Coin Market Cap over here, go to Injective, click market cap, and find what the market cap was at those 3 points, and then do a very simple calculation. You want to do the Altcoin market cap. So for example, over here in October of 2023, specifically the 12th of October, we take the market cap of whatever it was. Let's say it's roughly speaking around 600 million. So we get 600 million. Divide that by the total market cap, okay, the global market cap over here, which, as I said before, was 1.02 trillion. Let's just say 1 trillion to keep things nice and simple. And then you get a number. Now, that number in this case might be 0.0064 or 0.00064. And then you just multiply it by 100. So 100 is the percentage. So in this case, it came to 0.064% for Injective. So essentially, if the total market cap was $1 trillion, which it was, okay, back in October of 2023, Injective had 0.064% of that as its market cap, which was roughly $600 million, which it is. So then again, we find those three, we average them all out. So you can see we have 0.064. On the low over here, it was 0.07. So it actually gained market dominance, which is good to see. But then it lost a lot recently, April 7th over here, right? So it was 0.02. So the average of all that is a little bit higher than 0.05%. So hanging with me, we're almost finished. This is the fun part, because what I'm about to explain to you now is how you find the market caps to figure out whether it's realistic or not, and also the price as well. So we have to now do the math in step 4. So what we're going to do here is work out using that market cap dominance percent I found before, right? So I said odds 0.05. It actually ends up being 0.054% on the average of those lows. And then we're going to do 2 calculations. Okay, so we're going to do 0.054 multiplied by 5 and 0.04 multiplied by 10. Okay, so the result is 0.27 and 0.54. This is going to work the same for both the 8 and 14 trillion market caps, and I'll show you why in a second. Now, to just quick update, why we do again the 5 and the 10x multiplication here is because, as I said in the previous bull run, most coins should do between a 5x market dominance growth and 10x dominance growth. That's on average. Some might do more, some might do a little bit less, but we're doing averages here. Before Chainlink did roughly about an 8x, so it's right in the middle somewhere. So once we find these two, what we do is we take the 0.27 and the 0.54 for both the 8 and 14 trillion market caps here, and then we multiply them by the market caps. So we do is 8 trillion multiplied by 0.27. This gives us 21.6 billion. So what this says is, okay, we're doing low side calculations here. So essentially at 8 trillion market cap, which is the low, what if Injective only 5x is dominant? So that's the low side of the low side market cap. And what we get here is again a low side number. Now that's not the absolute low, like let's say worst case, Chainlink might not even gain any market dominance, but this is with the coin, likely moving up. We have to assume the coin is actually going up at some point. So we get this low number here. Now to the very, very high side, the opposite of this, when the market cap goes to 14 trillion, let's say best case, Injective also goes up to 10x. So absolute best case here, we get a 75.6 billion market cap. Like I said, maybe, Injective goes to 100 billion market cap. Maybe it outperforms even this. We're just trying to find averages here. We also have 2 middle levels as well. So what happens at an 8 trillion market cap if its dominance 10x's, and what happens at a 14 trillion market cap at only 5x's. And so again, this is how we're able to find the absolute best, absolute worst, and some middle ground as well. Now it's the fun part. Now we find price. So number 5 is to account for the supply. So we've found the market cap at those 4 different market cap levels. Now what we do at those 4 different levels is divide them by the supply. That's how you find price. So for example, again, we have the 21 right through to 75 billion possible market cap. So absolute worst, not absolute worst, but low reasonable case and absolute highest case, and then divide each of these by 93.3 million. Finding the supply is very important because this can really change the actual price you end up with. So there's a few ways you can do it. The first thing you can do, this is the worst way, but this is a way if all else fails, is to go to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, go to the coin, and then go to circulating supply, and then use this number. For Injective, it's 99.97 million. Now, before you saw, I used 93 million. I'll explain why it's so different in a second, but the issue with using circulating supply is that this doesn't account for new tokens that are coming and unlocking. Now, again, if you have more tokens unlocking between now and the end of the bull market, it's going to really impact the price, all right? Because essentially, you've got more tokens coming and unlocking. Now, I'm not going to get into why I think that's a big fallacy in this video, but there is nuanced details that I'm not going to cover. But for argument's sake, you want to try to find something like this, which is the vesting schedule. Now, Injective has all of their tokens unlocked, which is nice and simple. It's at 100 million, as you can see here. But if Injective was back in March of 2022, if the end of the bull market is going to be sometime in February of 2023, at least what we can expect, then the difference is like 20 million tokens. So you need to use the amount in December of 2023, whenever, of course, it's going to be unlocking. So you would use December of 2025 as a rough idea of how many tokens are coming out. So if that was 83 million for Injective and we were down here at, 60 million, you would use 83 million. So again, in Injective's case, we have all the tokens unlocked, but why have I used 93 million? Why haven't I used 100 million or 99.97 million? It's because I know Injective burns tokens. So because of that, they actually have burnt about 7 million Injective tokens overall. So I've taken 100 million minus the burnt tokens, and we've got 93.3 million. So again, the math here is pretty simple. What I do is take each of these market cap levels, so in this case, 21.6, billion divided by 93.3 million Injective tokens, and that gets me this price. And I do the same for each of these market cap levels, and we get the different prices. Now, what I do is map it out on a chart like this. This is Injective's price here. We've got the 231, so we have the 8 trillion realistic market cap growth at a low 5x dominance, right through to the 14 trillion global market cap at a 10x dominance. So again, very, very bullish line. I would say realistic line down here. I wouldn't say the lowest it could possibly go to, but realistic considering Injective has no bad news. And then we have two middle lines as well. Those two middle lines are, of course, these two prices, kind of in the middle of the pack. So the way you want to analyze this is say, well, ideally, you want to be out of your coins before the green zone. That's just absolute safest, right? You don't want to be having a price prediction above this level. If your prices you already have in your mind are above the absolute red line, you got to either change coins or be much more realistic with your price targets. The data is data. Things could change. Maybe Injective goes to a 300 billion market cap. We don't know, but we have to use data to try to help us here be realistic. And again, we have the moderate levels in the middle, in the yellow zone. So the yellow zone may be a level in which you kind of can look to sell some of your higher sell levels in, but the green zone for sure, even ideally beneath it, is where you kind of want to be selling. So for me, anything beneath $400 for Injective is quite realistic. Many of you guys know my personal prediction for Injective is $500. But that's for a different story. That's in the best possible case, okay? So this is much more realistic. You can see, so it's around a 15x being realistic, right up to around a 28x, which sounds crazy now, but if the market starts moving, there's your expectations. There are literally your bounds of exiting. So thank you all for watching this video right the whole way through. Let me know if you have any questions down below. I can expand on different topics, but I hope it does make sense. And with that being said, thank you all. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.